Harry's Wife, Part 101.09. Nothing for you. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, continuing to interpret the mass of information and footage that has arisen as a consequence of the death of Queen Elizabeth II, and enabling you to understand the various dynamics and repercussions vis-à-vis Harry's wife, seen, of course, through the prism of her narcissism. I utilize video footage and also news articles. I leave it to you, as the valuable viewer, to make your own determination as to the veracity of the material. I provide you with the explanation and interpretation, utilizing my expertise. An article by meor.com, written by Shivan Banik, tells us, "What goes around? Kate Middleton to inherit Queen's $110 million jewellery. Harry's wife to get nothing of value." Neither Harry's wife nor Camilla, the newly crowned queen, were really favoured by Queen Elizabeth II. The late Queen Elizabeth reportedly changed her will right before she died, and the changes will benefit Kate Middleton. The jewellery collection of the late Queen, estimated to be worth $110 million, will pass on to Prince William's wife. A crucial distinction is that the 300 personal items belong to the Queen and not the Crown. As per a Radar Online article, in July, that she had been concentrating on her prized possessions and who deserved what, the whispers are that she's made some last-minute changes to her will that'll be a shocking surprise for her heirs, sources said. As per the article, Kate is likely to gain from the choice, which may raise some brows among the royals. The decision would probably upset Camilla, Harry's wife, and their partners, King Charles and Prince Harry, according to the source. Kate is clearly the family favourite, said sources. According to reports, Camilla, who had Elizabeth's approval for her coronation as Queen Consort, has long harboured a secret enmity for Kate's relationship with the late Queen. She'd never say it, of course, but it's one of the reasons Camilla resented Kate, sources added. Camilla is not alone herself. Harry's wife and her daughter Lilibet are likely to suffer the royal axe, an insider said. There's a very good chance the Queen won't leave either of them any jewels of value. It's not surprising, since they're not members of the royal family anymore, but it would be a real slap in the face. When it comes to the Queen's jewels, we're told Kate and William are not worried, because they knew where they stood with Elizabeth. Kate and William really don't want Lilibet to be left out, even though Kate is expected to give some of the diamonds to her daughter, Princess Charlotte. As for Harry's wife, she's not their concern, said a royal insider. If the Queen does indeed cut Harry's wife out, some people think it won't be out of spite, but practicality. Others say it would be sending a message from the Queen to Harry's wife and Harry, namely, you reap what you sow, sources said. At the age of 96, the Queen died on Thursday, September the 8th at Balmoral Castle. The royal family waited for each of her children and Prince William to arrive before announcing the sad news. They didn't show Prince Harry the same courtesy. He was still travelling to Balmoral Castle when the announcement was made. Observations, therefore, that the Queen's personal jewellery is going to be left to Kate Middleton. And nothing for Harry's wife, and nothing for Camilla either. Harry's wife, of course, were she not a narcissist, would likely think, well, whatever I receive, thank you for that. Of course, she would likely have received more because she would have behaved in a different fashion. But let us assume, for whatever reasons, she had decided that she didn't want to be involved in the royal family and had taken much more of a back seat and stepping down and had largely kept her mouth shut. In the circumstances, she might have been left something, but probably not as much as would be left to Kate Middleton, because Kate has been taking a much more involved role in the royal family and has done so for longer. In such circumstances, a non-narcissist would look at it and think, well, that makes sense. She's been doing the role for longer, she's been involved in the royal family for longer. I have only joined recently and I'm not a working royal, so I understand why more has gone to her rather than to me. That would be a measured response. Let us say, for instance, that for whatever reason, even as a non-narcissist, Harry's wife had been throwing through brickbats towards the royal family, and therefore, again, finding that she was not going to receive anything, would most likely respond by thinking, well, I understand I've not really been involved, and of course we didn't really get on, and I suppose they might take a dim view of some of the things that I said. I was justified in what I said, but I understand why I wouldn't be at the head of the queue when it came to being a beneficiary under the terms of the will. However, as you know, Harry's wife is a narcissist, and such considerations and reasonableness are not applicable. Her rampant sense of entitlement will interpret this as, I should have received something, I'm in the royal family, Kate's got something, and she is an in-law, I'm an in-law, why haven't I got something? And of course, her narcissism will immediately tell her that the reason that she's not received anything is because the late Queen was racist and hated her. It will not cause her to do this. I have behaved like a complete shit these last couple of years towards the Queen. My behaviour was reprehensible, unappreciative, and downright nasty. It's no wonder she hasn't left me anything. I can't say that I blame her. I'd do the same if I were her. Her narcissism will never lead her to that conclusion, because that would mean attributing fault to her conduct and behaviours, and that cannot happen. Her narcissism will not allow her to be accountable for the things that she said and that she's done, in a sense whereby this would result in a diminution or extinction of some kind of receipt of a benefit. For her narcissism says, you should receive something. You are the mighty Harry's wife, Empress of Woke, Queen of the United States, purveyor of the most interesting speeches that humankind has ever had to listen to. You are a fashion icon. You bring kindness and peace wherever you go. You are bananitarian extraordinaire, and in the circumstances, failing to recognise all of these brilliant attributes is the mark of a sour, bitter old racist. She, of course, is not going to necessarily say that out loud in a public venue, but she will, because her narcissism will drive her to do it, react badly to the failure to receive anything. If this report is correct, and of course that's a fairly solid if, and if the Queen did change her will so that the majority, if not all, goes to Kate of her personal jewellery, then this, of course, wounds Harry's wife, notwithstanding the fact that, logically, why should she receive anything? But her mind doesn't work like that, because it's governed by her narcissism. Should she learn that the majority of the jewellery is going to go to Kate, that will wound her. There's no provision of fuel, and it threatens her sense of control. It will be a fairly substantial wounding, given the amount of money that's involved, and the status associated with it. Remember, in Harry's wife's deluded mind, the Queen thought that she was brilliant and that they had a wonderful relationship, notwithstanding the fact that the Queen probably couldn't stand her after a period of time, given Harry's wife's own behaviours. Nevertheless, this is the delusion of the narcissist. The narcissist can come along, punch you in the face, take a dump in your breakfast bowl, and basically trash your house, and then later on come around and say, hey, do you fancy going out tonight? And expect you to act as if nothing previous has occurred. It's the compartmentalisation. And Harry's wife's narcissism is the same. It expects that she can do what she wants and that everybody will just accept it, and that in effect the record has been wiped clean, and you start again. The failure to provide her with the jewellery offends her sense of entitlement. It wounds her. She has no accountability for her behaviours, and this threat to control posed by this, if it's accurate, will mean that she will have to respond by asserting control indirectly and smearing the late Queen to members of her coterie by basically saying that was a hateful, unpleasant, dismissive, bitter act of someone who clearly didn't like her for racial reasons or similar observations made by her. The Queen, of course, lands a blow after her death by ensuring that Harry's wife is likely to get nothing. And it isn't necessarily born out of practicality, but is done to reward Kate for her loyalty and good offices, and basically to give a good old-fashioned Churchillian, not the V sign for victory, but the other one, to Harry's wife because of the way that she has behaved. Even in death, Queen Elizabeth won, Harry's wife nil. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.